13-year-old Schoolboy has been stabbed to death whilst on a bus on Staten Island in New York. The stabber was also 13 years old. He's now in custody. He did flee the scene, but he was caught. We're told that the tragic incident occurred Friday afternoon just before 2:30 p.m. The 13-year-old attacker got on the bus and began yelling at the other teen before stabbing him in the chest 3 times. They both went to the same middle school, which is called IS7, if I understand correctly. We don't know why the violence occurred, other than it seems to be gang-related. Apparently, both boys were throwing up gang signs. Again, the 13-year-old boy that stabbed the victim fled the scene, but he was caught shortly thereafter. The 13-year-old boy that was stabbed 3 times in the chest approached the bus driver, showed him his very serious wounds, then stumbled towards the back of the bus, where he collapsed. The 13-year-old boy was taken to the local hospital, where tragically he was pronounced dead. The names of the victim and the suspect have not been released to the public at this point in time. At the time of publication of the article that I've read through, the knife had not been found. However, that might well have changed at this point. I would think that this would be an open and shut case. They've arrested the suspect. There would have been plenty of witnesses. I'm sure all of the people on the bus will be highly traumatized. I've got to say full condolences to all those touched by this dreadful tragedy, this murder, senseless murder. Gang related, seemingly. At least one of the boys, I believe both of the boys, throwing up gang signs. How pathetic, how awful that your 13-year-old children are being dragged into these gangs, maybe not even dragged, enticed into these gangs, groomed into these gangs, not only by the gangs themselves, but by the media, I'm going to say, and I say that as an absolute hypocrite. I listen to hip-hop music, I listen to Chicago drill and all of this, but I'm of an age and a level of maturity in which I realise I'm not about to become a gangster. The youth, however, are a lot more impressionable, perhaps some more than others, perhaps some that have grown up in certain environments more than others. You know, if gangs are all around them, if their friends, their family members are gang members or affiliated with the gang in one way or another, then they're going to be more easily enticed to become a member, to live that lifestyle, or even just to pretend to live that lifestyle. But maybe that's too much of a tangent. Full condolences to all those touched by the murder of this 13-year-old boy, his parents, of course, his family, his friends, his schoolmates, his school teachers. The bus driver is going to be traumatized by this. There he is doing his job or her job, and then a child dies on their watch. You know, it's traumatic. It's going to be traumatic for the emergency medical services, the police that are involved in this investigation. Maybe they're used to this by now. Maybe this is yet another gang killing, or indeed child gang killing. So again, they have arrested a 13-year-old boy. I would think that there'll be plenty of witnesses, perhaps even video recording on a bus nowadays. Is that a thing? I would imagine it probably is on a school bus. So hopefully justice is served, and there leads into another subject. Should a 13-year-old that stabs somebody 3 times in the chest, should they be tried as an adult? Here's my answer: yes. I made a video yesterday of an 11-year-old boy who in Florida took a gun from his mother's car. It was unsecured. He took the gun and 5 seconds later he shot at the back of one of his teammates. He actually hit 2 of his teammates. So an 11-year-old boy shot one of his teammates in the back, the other was grazed in the elbow. And I asked the question, should that 11-year-old boy be charged as an adult? And my answer to that, just my opinion, which is subjective of course, my opinion in that regard was no. An 11-year-old is too young to be tried as an adult. I struggle to feel that an 11-year-old is anything but a child. But I could be wrong. I think things aren't quite as clear-cut as that. If I consider this situation, a 13-year-old getting on a bus with a knife, throwing up gang signs, having an argument with his fellow schoolmate, and then stabbing his fellow schoolmate 3 times in the chest, should that scumbag piece of shit 13-year-old be charged as an adult? Or should we say, oh, he's only a little boy, oh, he just did something wrong, these things happen, I'll give him another chance? No, fuck him. I would try him as an adult. What's the difference? I guess there is plenty of room for me to be considered a hypocrite. I think a lot of these cases are nuanced. The way they're written influences me, certainly. Perhaps they influence you. But for me, an 11-year-old is on the cusp of being an adolescent, but fundamentally, you'd really hope and expect an 11-year-old to be primarily an innocent, primarily mentally immature, not really in a position to make any meaningful judgments by and large. But again, not all humans are uniform. You get child geniuses, of course, who know exactly what's going on. Whereas with the 13-year-old, I view them as, sure, they're an adolescent. Okay, they're not a fully grown grown adults, they're an adolescent, but I just feel that they knew what they were doing. They knew that stabbing someone in the chest is likely going to kill them, likely going to cause them extreme injury, and they have an understanding that death is death. Death is final. I think the 13-year-old that stabbed the 13-year-old schoolboy knew what he was doing and chose to do so out of his sick allegiance to whatever gang he seems to think he represents. I guess perhaps the difference that I see is the 13-year-old, in my estimation, which is kind of guesswork, I don't really know what I'm talking about, but it just seems like the 13-year-old made a choice, a knowledgeable choice, whereas the 11-year-old, I'm taking it as he just reacted. I don't know, maybe I'm just talking out my rear end. Either way, I'll wrap things up at this point. If you appreciate the coverage, please do like, comment, subscribe, share the video as you see fit. If you're in a position to join my memberships, please do consider doing so. If you're able to drop a super thanks, that would be lovely. It's okay if you're not able to do that. I'll thank you for your time. Take care.